All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight here at The Volume. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great night. Well, I wasn't planning on working tonight, but my wife ended up having to work late. I was watching the game, Warriors-Celtics, a very, very entertaining primetime game and a good showdown between two teams that entered into the game with very good records. Obviously, a little bit different with some of the guys out, with Jaylen Brown out for the Boston Celtics, but still, by far, the biggest test for the Golden State Warriors to this point in the season, and they passed it with flying colors. And so I'm going to get more into this game tomorrow with some film, but I just wanted to go for like maybe 10 minutes or so and just give you guys my initial impressions on the game. You guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys don't miss show announcements. Don't forget about our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts under Hoops Tonight. And keep dropping mailbag questions in the YouTube comments so we can keep hitting them in our Friday mailbag. All right, let's talk some basketball. So I actually recorded a mailbag earlier today that's coming out on Friday. So when you hear some stuff in that mailbag that seems a little outdated, that's where it came from. But one of the questions that I was asked was from a Warriors fan, just simply, hey, Jason, what should we look for with the Warriors in this next 4-game stretch? And that's the stretch where they play Boston, then I think they go to Cleveland next, and then I think they go to Oklahoma City, and then they come home, and I think they play Dallas, if I remember correctly. I think that's the 4 games, right? All very different types of challenges, right? Like Boston is this very perimeter-oriented team that can space them out, but they also have the perimeter defenders to make things more difficult on Golden State's perimeter defenders, right? And then there's also Cleveland, and what they present is like this really big front line, and then the Donovan Mitchell problem in ball screens, right? You go to Oklahoma City, and it's kind of like a different version of Boston with a lot of 5-out spacing, a lot of really talented offensive players on the floor. And then Luka Doncic and everything that he presents as an issue with rim protection behind him with Dallas, right? So like it's kind of an interesting little stretch for the Warriors. Well, what I said in the mailbag, which you guys will hear in more detail on Friday, is basically I'm just curious to see how their defense will look, right? Like they're by far the most exciting part of what Golden State has accomplished to this point in the season is they've demonstrated clearly to the rest of the league that they are incredibly deep with fast and athletic, long, quick, smart defenders, right? And what they do is they just come at you in waves, whether it's the starting group or it's the bench group, whether it's in the front court or it's in the back court. It's just everyone's fast, everyone's on a string, everyone's bought in. And then Steve Kerr is one of the best defensive coaches in the league, brings a lot of the modern schemes that you see around the league in terms of like switching and containing, staying home off the ball, trying to force turnovers. And I just wanted to see how it looked against these different types of offenses, right? Because Steph, I didn't expect him to be as good as he was tonight. He's coming back from an injury, still kind of getting his engine revving this year. And like, I think Steph's going to get better and better as the season progresses. And then we don't know what this Warriors roster will look like in the long run, right? So like I was mainly focused on the defensive end of the floor, and holy shit, was that an incredible defensive performance from the Warriors. Now, obviously, there were some stretches where Boston broke through. They had a 41-point third quarter. They went on a run in the early fourth, and they took a 7-point lead. They're the Boston Celtics. Even without Jaylen Brown, they're one of the most talented rosters in the league. They're going to present you with some issues. But in the first half, with what they were able to do, to build a lead and to breed a little bit of uncertainty in Boston, and then down the stretch with the stops that they were able to get, they got out of there with the win. And there was a lot of really interesting stuff. So let's get a little bit further into it. First of all, they held Boston to 43% from the field, 35% from three, forced them into a lot of contested threes immediately out the gates with Steve Kerr. I thought was a really interesting kind of defensive strategy in the sense that like there's a lot of emotional baggage in this game, right? Like Jayson Tatum is the guy that Steve Kerr slighted with Team USA this summer, not playing him in a bunch of pivotal games. And there's all of this like kind of like feeling like this is a revenge game in a lot of sorts, right? So like one of the things I thought that was really smart that Steve Kerr did, and it was dangerous. This is a dangerous thing to do. But he decided to do a lot of aggressive coverages on Jayson Tatum early in the game. Blitzes, hard hedges, aggressive switches, a lot of just attacking Jayson Tatum early in the game. Why is that dangerous? Because that's how Boston beats you. Boston beats you by getting you in rotation and driving and kicking you to death because they're so good with their spacing and everybody on the floor knows how to dribble, shoot, and pass, right? Now, a little different, again, with this Celtics team, with the way they're playing, especially without Jaylen Brown, there's a lot of slow-footed centers on the floor. So that's a lot of opportunity to handle Boston on both ends of the floor in a way that's different than when they're completely healthy, right? But still, I thought that was really smart. Jayson Tatum had 4 turnovers in the first half. The Warriors scored a lot in transition off of those turnovers. I think I can't remember the exact number. They had like 40 points in transition in this game. They did a ton of damage in I think it was 30. They had 30 points in transition in this game. Ton of damage in transition, again, by fostering chaos at the beginning of those possessions. Could have been uglier had Boston handled it with a little more poise early on. And they did, and they got going in that third quarter, right? But that was the initial stretch that changed the tenor of the game. Now you're going into halftime with a lead. Now everyone for Boston's feeling a little uncomfortable. And again, it's about keeping it late. Boston went on their run. They're a champion. They're going to, even without Brown, they're going to go on a run. And they did, but you kept the game close enough so that you can, in the half court, slow down at the end of the game, hope that your star can out-execute Jayson Tatum. And he did. Steph Curry scored or assisted on 15 points in the final 5.5 minutes of that game. He was magnificent. The rim pressure, consistently getting the defense in rotation by getting downhill. Manufactured 6 quick points at the three-point line right after Boston went up 7. That pulled it back to 1, right? The dribble penetration, getting him in rotation. Again, the offensive rebounds, like Kevon Looney gets 2 big offensive rebounds late. A lot of that comes from the chaos that happens in rotation. You're flying around chasing guys in screens. Looney slips along the backside, gets a little offensive rebound. Steph gets dribble penetration. He gets right to the front of the rim. Your rim protector goes after it, and he misses it. Who's going to be waiting if their rim protector goes after the ball and he doesn't get it? Your center, who's trailing the play. Kevon Looney, easy offensive rebound putback. The little dribble drive at Jayson Tatum at the end of the game. And Jayson Tatum, I thought he settled down and actually played pretty well after the start. Obviously put up a monster stat line, but that first shift was really the stretch where he struggled. But when he down the stretch, he took a really bad shot in that mid-range trying to grift for a foul around the elbow. Then on the next possession, he got caught ball watching as Steph was driving right at him. Buddy Hield back cut him to the right corner. Steph made the pass. Buddy made the shot. That was basically the dagger. Now they're celebrating and we're out of there, right? So like that's kind of the formula, right? That's what we talk about is the formula to beat the Boston Celtics. You have to switch, contain, play passing lanes, force turnovers, right? Get the game close late. And then if you're close late, hope that your star can out-execute Jayson Tatum, right? And that's what happened. The Emirates NBA Cup is here, and you can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams split into 6 groups every Tuesday and Friday, playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup championship in Vegas. Right now, the Boston Celtics are favored to win the NBA Cup at plus 370. The Oklahoma City Thunder have the second best odds at plus 600, and then the New York Knicks have the third best odds at plus 900. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. That's code HOOPS for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. By the way, that's why I talk so much about the Warriors and their the need to get to really invest in this particular season. You are actively demonstrating to the world that you have a not just a good defense, but like a transcendently good defense based on a simple principle that I've been keyed in on a lot this year, which is perimeter speed. Perimeter speed is so important because about 20% of these games is being played in transition now. So your ability to contain the ball with ball pressure, to run up and down the floor in transition, covering ground, and to cover ground in rotation are 3 of the most important elements to guarding these modern pace and space NBA offenses, right? So you're demonstrating to the world you have this elite defense. You're demonstrating to the world that you have tons of depth. Brandon Podziemski wanted to play today. Steve Kerr didn't let him. They're so deep that they're like, dude, if you're not even feeling if you're feeling 95%, take that extra day. Come back tomorrow 100% because we're so damn deep. We'll bring Lindy Waters in. He'll play 14 minutes, right? So it's like that's kind of the process with the Warriors there this year. They're so incredibly deep that they have rotation players to burn, so to speak. And so when I look at it and I go, elite, transcendently great defense, that's elite at all levels, right? Like they're elite on the perimeter, and you have Draymond Green anchoring it all as one of the best defensive anchors in the league. You're you have Steph Curry on your team, who tonight, again, and it remains to be seen if he can maintain it, but this was his best game of the season, 27.7 rebounds, 9 assists, looked like a top tier superstar in this game. If you get that out of Steph Curry, now just imagine if he had this like really truly reliable, dependable number two. And guys stepped up tonight. Andrew Wiggins hit a big pull-up jump shot that gave the Warriors the lead late. Buddy Hield, 4 for 7 from 3, 16 points. He was plus 20 in this game. Had hit a bunch of big shots. But like if you had just one more guy that could reliably create offense for you off of Steph Curry, that's where I think this starts to get exciting. A couple other guys I wanted to shout out. Kyle Anderson, those back-to-back pull up. I think one of them was a catch and shoot, then the other two were off the dribble. Those back-to-back threes that he hit in the first half completely changed the dynamic of the game because the Warriors defense got it close, but that was what built that first like real margin. Gary Payton II, his first shift was what completely changed the game. He was flying around everywhere, blocked Peyton Pritchard on a 3 on the left wing, was digging down and getting loose balls. He had a huge diving loose ball recovery in the fourth quarter. I thought he was incredible. Jonathan Kuminga hit a huge 3 in the first half of that game when they were trying to build that first initial margin. A lot of really good performances from the Warriors. Again, on the Celtics front, I thought they got a little bit spooked by the blitzing in the early part of the game. But outside of that, I thought they managed it pretty well. I thought the Celtics played a really good game outside of that first half, right? And you were in a position to win. You went cold late. And sometimes, sometimes you get Steph Curried, and that's what happens, right? I'm not worried about them in the big picture. One of the big things, again, for both Warriors fans and for Celtics fans, when you look at them as a 5-out team, and you're looking at Drew, Derek, Tatum, Brown, Horford, they do a lot of switching with that group, right? Then they have Porzingis as their like real rim protector, but they trust Hauser to switch. They trust Pritchard to switch. They do a lot of switching. They contain, right? They have a lot of speed. So like, it's one thing to do it against Neemias Queta and Luke Cornett, right? But it's a little bit different when you're facing the version of the Celtics that is more focused on their perimeter speed. And so again, like I think the Celtics are smart to continue to take it this way, take it slow, make sure Jaylen Brown gets healthy, make sure that you're not, chasing wins in the regular season at the expense of the ultimate goal at the end of the season. And for the Warriors, really big win. But again, as I said, there were stretches in this game where you really struggled to score. And again, like when it comes to the big picture, this to me seems like a team that has some special potential. I think it's worth investing in, and I'm really curious to see how it goes in the long run. Again, I'm going to tomorrow do another breakdown of this game after I've rewatched it, looked into some film, and then we'll also have a film breakdown of it at the tail end of the show. We're also going to hit a bunch of other games. The Lakers just completely shit the bed in Memphis tonight. Fun little John Morant, LeBron James battle in the tail end of the first half. Crazy game between the Detroit Pistons and the Charlotte Hornets. Bunch of stuff we're going to get into. I hope to see you guys there on YouTube tomorrow. As always, I sincerely appreciate you guys, and I'll see you then.